For the final stop of the Free State Tour, we will be visiting South Park, located at the southern edge of Lawrence's historic downtown district. Established in 1854, South Park was the first park to be founded in the newly minted city. It was originally designated as a place for locals to grow crops and graze their livestock. Behind me, you will see the William Kelly Bandshell, built in 1906, and the Theodore Roosevelt Fountain, dedicated by its namesake in August of 1910. This open space served a far more sinister purpose in the pre-dawn hours on an August day nearly half a century before the Rough Riders stopped here in Lawrence during a whistle-stop tour of the Midwest. From right here in South Park, a different cavalryman would launch an attack on the anti-slavery city of Lawrence, and further the reputation of bleeding Kansas, leaving the city in ruins. At approximately 5 a.m. on August 21st, 1863, William Quantrell deployed his force of 450 men into the city, where they would spend the next 4 hours massacring its inhabitants. The raiders rode into the town from the south, which is behind me, and assembled here at South Park. The partisans had been planning to raid for some time, but after a tragic collapse of a women's prison in Kansas City, which killed female relatives of several of the raiders, being held under General Order Number 10, issued by General Thomas Ewing Jr. The raiders who assembled here at South Park were not just looking for plunder, they were looking for revenge. To them, Lawrence was a symbol of unionism and a threat to their way of life. From this location, Quantrell dispatched a small group of scouts to Mount Oread, a rocky promontory approximately 1/4 of a mile to the west or to the left of where I'm standing. Mount Oread is now the site of the Oread Hotel and rests at the northern edge of the University of Kansas. The remainder of Quantrell's men deployed from South Park north, up Massachusetts Street, as well as neighboring Vermont and New Hampshire streets, terrorizing the unprotected residents of Lawrence. Over the span of 4 hours, Quantrell's guerrillas rode through town unopposed, since the garrison of Union troops previously assigned to Lawrence had departed for Fort Leavenworth, and the town militia was unable to assemble in time to fight back. The raiders rounded up more than 150 mostly unarmed men and boys and murdered them in the streets, while their wives and mothers stood by helplessly watching. Quantrell's men then proceeded to sack the city, looting shops and burning downtown, leaving it in ruins. By 9 o'clock that same morning, Lawrence lay in ruins and the raiders departed as quickly as they had arrived. Far from a battle, the events of August 21st, 1863 were a massacre that claimed the lives of boys as young as 10-year-old Bobby Martin, who had no chance to defend themselves. Although William Quantrell came to Lawrence with a list of intended targets, many of those men could not be found, and the raiders directed their rage on the people who were present. Quantrell would then lead his men south into Texas and later die in Kentucky in 1865. Abolitionist jayhawkers would retaliate with raids of their own into western Missouri shortly after Quantrell's. An abolitionist preacher from Missouri named George Miller would say of the attack, viewed in any light, the Lawrence raid will continue to be held as the most infamous event of the uncivil war. The act of destruction did not stop in Kansas. The cowardly criminality of this spiteful reciprocity lay in the fact that each party knew, but did not care, that the consequences of their violent acts would fall most heavily upon their own helpless friends. The Lawrence raid was followed by swift and cruel retribution, falling, as usual, in this border warfare, upon the innocent and helpless rather than the guilty ones. I hope you have enjoyed this tour of historic Lawrence, Kansas, and its role in the turbulent fight over slavery in the United States. Thank you.